My name's Adrian Gonzalez. I'm born and raised in Amarillo. Uh, Been there my whole life. West Texas is my home. I'm currently an LPC in Amarillo, and I love to help people. I mean, I think using my lived experience with my school experience just really brings a lot to the table, and I really enjoy what I do now. Everything was fine my freshman, sophomore year, and then my junior year just kind of really changed when my best friend committed suicide. You know, at the time, it was very taboo, stigmatic. I guess after, I just never really realized the impact it had on me till that following year, started kind of getting more involved. That's when I got introduced to alcohol, marijuana, and just everything just kind of changed after that. And just back then, I guess a lot of my thinking or what I was taught was just like, don't talk about it outside the family realm. So, just like every other kid, you just kind of just chalk it up, sweep it under the rug, and, life went on. And I guess it was when I left high school, I had all these aspirations to do different things, and getting into that just really changed the course of my life. And prior to that, I think I'd been in counseling, one time, and just never really kind of being honest, about what I was feeling or what I was dealing with. And I just didn't even know how to word it, because we're just not taught how to discuss our emotions. I think especially for men, young men, we just compartmentalize a lot of stuff and are just taught to kind of chalk it up, suck it up, or pull your bootstraps up type deal. And obviously it took its toll, later on in life. So I spent the next, 10 or 15 years, drugs, alcohol, just a crazy life. And, growing up, it was just never ideally what my parents wanted for me. And in that period, also becoming a young parent just really kind of changed a lot of things for me. So once he became an age where I got sober and kind of cleaned up and just got to a point where I just was kind of tired of everything, I didn't really understand what he was going through, because I was just chalking up to my own experiences like, oh, it's just an experimental phase, just something he's probably going through. I guess the first indicator, that I should have really picked up on was his grades were dropping. The other kids he was hanging around with, I thought keeping him in a private school would kind of keep him sheltered. And drugs are everywhere, and if you're not talking to your kids about drugs, somebody obviously else will. But yeah, the grades were dropping. He started missing a lot of school. Just really kind of losing interest in the things he was doing when, before he loved sports and music, and just kind of withdrawing from the family. I got involved with a local mental health group in Amarillo, NAMI Texas Panhandle. And it's like the tip of the iceberg. And that's whenever I found out later on, whenever he was in rehab, he got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that's what really, as a parent, as a dad, you don't want to see him hurting, but when the brain's sick, it's like, how do you go in there and fix that? You hear these terms like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, but you don't really understand the breadth of what that really means or how to really work with that. And we've all had family members who have been diabetic, heart problems, and you go to the doctor for that, no problem. We don't hesitate. But when the brain's sick and you can't see it, where do you start with that? Our slogan is, there's no physical health without mental health. And I just think that's just so true. But when you can't see what's going on inside your head, you just chalk it up for whatever and don't really get the help you need. Whereas you would if you had a cut on your arm or, broken nose or something, you'd immediately go to the ER, whereas when your brain's sick or you can't leave the house, you're not eating, how do you fix those behavioral problems? I think that's the hardest step for a lot of parents, families, is just, where do you start? But there are resources out there. Just look for your local mental health resources available in your area. I'm really glad that there's these resources now that kind of streamline, because before, it was so much harder when everybody kind of worked in their own independent realm. And now, like, these websites that are available, they just really navigate all that mess and they untangle that yarn. So you can find the psychiatrist, you can find the counselor, you can find your primary care doctor. It's okay to talk to people and, just starting that conversation and just pairing people with the right, either, psychiatric help, substance abuse help. It's very crucial and critical, I think, in that first moment of crisis to kind of talk about these things and learn how to talk about them. That's what really NAMI really kind of brought to the table, was the education component, and really kind of helped me get to understand better. It wasn't so much just the drugs and alcohol. It was just using that to kind of buffer a lot of what he was feeling. But I think we're coming along, and I think the key to it is talking about it. And it just like I thought I was alone in my battle, and a lot of it was I was just prideful, and just I felt really shameful, like thinking I was a bad parent, and I finally had to kind of get over that. As the caregivers of people who have somebody struggling with mental health, it is so important that you take care of yourself too. We've all probably been on an air flight, and when that stewardess goes over that spiel, who do you put the mask on first? Yourself, and not feeling guilty about it, because if you're not good, how do you take care of anybody around you, more or less your family? I guess for anybody that's struggling, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that it's okay not to be okay, hearing those phrases and just kind of bringing down that stigma. And the key to that is asking for help and not being afraid to ask.
For more information on where to find help, please visit prc1.org or panhandlementalhealthguide.org.